concepts you may have heard about is acid versus alkaline in our diet. Now, depending on what you read, you'll see some people poo-poo that, but I'm a very big fan of it. And what it means is when we have a particular food, that when it's metabolized to an acidic residue or an alkaline residue. So a simple rule of thumb is if it's a vegetable, it's probably metabolized to an alkaline residue. Now there are exceptions, and that's in the legumes and our starchy foods. So potatoes, acid-forming residue. Our peas and beans, acid-forming residue. But the majority of everything else is going to be an alkalizing thing. And in the ideal world, we'd have 70 to 80% of our diet as alkalizing foods, and that's a lot more of the traditional thing. We didn't eat loads and loads of meat because that meant either hunt it or kill one of our animals. So we would eat lots of fruit and vegetables, and even going back to the paleo style, that hunter-gatherer, you would be picking and gathering because we didn't have refrigerators when we lived in caves. Shock news, I know. No microwaves either. So it had to be fresh all the time, which just meant you could gather nuts and seeds and you could carry them around and they would last for a little while. But if you went out and killed a rabbit, if you didn't eat it that day and you ate it the next day, it was probably going to give you food poisoning and make you really ill. So as we move forward into alkaline and acid-forming foods, think dairy, our wheat-based stuff, all of our processed foods, and all of our proteins. Now, different proteins are different rates of acidity, so red meat, high acid former. Things like chicken, a medium acid former, stuff like fish and eggs, they're a low acid former. So we try to have the low acid forming foods in our diet in preference to our high acid formers. So don't have steak every night of the week, make it a special thing, once a week, once a fortnight or less. Then when we look at our alkalizing foods, high alkalizers, asparagus is up in there. Yeah, it makes your pee smell funny, I know, but it's really good for you, high alkalizer. Then we've got to look at our green and leafies that tend to sit in the mid-range and low range. Our fresh fruits also tend to sit in that alkalizing area. And I said fresh fruits. Fruit juices actually go over to the other side. And then we get a couple of our more extreme foods like processed honey, acid former. Fresh raw honey is actually alkalizing. So the fresher and more natural that we can get our foods, the better it is for us. So that's my take on acid alkalizing. Hopefully you can pull something out of that, because if we think about it, where there is acidity, there tends to be pain. So alkalize more, have less pain.